Welcome to the Mindset Recruiting Podcast. I'm Alex Rojas, your talent advisor and host. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about 5 career changes for recruiters. That's right. I'm going to give you 5 specific job roles to consider if you're thinking about transitioning out of the talent acquisition industry. I cannot believe that we've gotten to this point, but that is the reality of the marketplace today because thousands upon thousands of recruiters are out of work. They've been out of work. They've been in between jobs. Their contracts have ended and it's dismal. The forecast is looking bleak. If you're secured, if you're a recruiter that has a job and you're not at risk, good for you. This may not pertain to you, but the reality of this again is that you know of your colleagues, your coworkers, your friends who have been out of work for quite some time. So this has affected you because for the last 18 months, here we are at the midpoint in 2024, recruiters are experiencing employment gaps. They are experiencing setbacks financially, hardships. There are a lot of things right now that are keeping recruiters in limbo. And if you go onto LinkedIn or to Indeed and you do a job search, the most amount of jobs that you're going to find there is probably going to be about 5,000 jobs for recruiters. Try it out, test it out. Type in talent acquisition, type in recruiters. It's going to be about 5,000. In my last episode, I talked about the majority of those positions were for staffing agencies. So if you're a corporate recruiter, internal, in-house, you're going to be even limited, even more so. So when is enough enough? Is it time for you to consider making a move? Is it time to take that leap of faith, to pivot, to transition out of the talent acquisition industry? Now, don't get me wrong. I have been a proponent, a champion, an ambassador when it comes to the recruiting profession, when it comes to talent acquisition for nearly 3 decades. I am an optimist by heart, but times have changed now. The industry has changed. The supply and demand has now been consistently in balance for almost 2 years. So I want to give you some hard facts, and I want to give you some choices, some options to consider. Other careers that are hiring at a very high demand. And guess what? Our skills as recruiters are transferable into these career sets. So stick around to the end because I'm going to give you some encouraging words. And more importantly, I want to give you some next steps to consider. So let's get after this. 5 career changes for recruiters. Okay, so if you're a recruiter and you're considering leaving the talent acquisition industry, believe me, I understand. It can be scary. There's a lot of unknowns. Usually the factors that come into play in all of this usually is, can they compensate me? Do I have to go into the office, right? How long is the learning curve and the ramp up time? How secure and stable will these jobs be for me? I really want to focus on the core assets, the core capabilities and core competencies that you have as a recruiter. And I want to go ahead and relate those to these 5 different careers that you can make a pivot and transition into today, tomorrow, immediately. And I'm going to give you some data to back this up here. So the first one, and this is probably one of the more obvious ones here to consider, is sales. And why sales? Because recruiting is sales. And when you look at sales and you look at some of the core competencies, the things that are transferable for us as recruiters is that we're really big into prospecting. We're really big into cold calling candidates. We're good at building those relationships. We're excellent at presenting sales pitches. That's what we do. We pitch career opportunities to prospects, to candidates, to applicants. And even more so, we know how to negotiate and close those deals so we make hires. That embodies the spirit of really what sales is about. Now, if you go on to LinkedIn, and I want to make sure that you do these exercises, but if you type in sales manager, 200,000 job openings will appear under sales manager, or under sales even for that matter. 200,000 jobs. Remember, we're talking about 5,000 jobs that are available for recruiters. If you type in business development, there's going to be over 80,000 positions that are opened within that sales job family. And if you just type in salesperson, you're going to get about 166,000 job openings. By far, this is an amazing number and an amazing data that you can use as a comparison, because if there are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of recruiters, and I don't know what that number is, the data doesn't show us how many recruiters are actively looking right now, but we can safely assume it could be anywhere between 25 to 100,000 to 200,000 recruiters that are in between jobs. And sales is an opportunity where you can make a natural transition and a national pivot over to. Look it up, research it, see if the compensation levels out with where you are currently. So number 2 career change that you should strongly consider as a recruiter if you're making a pivot or transitioning out has to do with social media. And I can definitely without a doubt, I can give you a testimony about this because I've been doing this. Now, again, the skills that are transferable as recruiters going into social media is that we're really good at targeting a talent community, targeting those specialized skill sets, those candidate profiles. We're really good at doing that. We're also really good at creating content. We do a lot of content creation, whether it's the emails that we're putting together or the amount of marketing material that we're putting together. Job postings. Think about all the job postings that we're working with hiring managers before we post it on career sites and any other miscellaneous places there that we're advertising it on social media. More importantly, we are really good at the full life cycle, the recruiting life cycle, whether it's the front end or the back end, doesn't matter. There's a lot of moving parts within that life cycle, and that is transferable in social media because social media has a lot of moving parts. Now, if you go in and do your search, and this is what I'm tasking you with here, is go do your search on LinkedIn, type in social media marketing. There are going to be over 390,000 jobs that are going to be available. If you type in digital marketing, there's over 111,000 jobs. If you type in content marketing, there are going to be 25,000 jobs. Again, how many jobs are available for recruiters in the talent acquisition industry? 5,000. You're talking about 5,000 in comparison to probably 500,000 jobs that are out there within social media. This is a hot market. This is a market that as recruiters, you can make that transition. If you're in between jobs and it's been a while, this is something that you should strongly consider. Start tailoring your resume so that it aligns with those social media aspects of it. The third career opportunity that I want to go ahead and highlight here, if you're a recruiter thinking about making that transition, is going to be customer support. This area, this job function that's out there, as recruiters, we have a lot of skills that are transferable into this customer support area. The first thing that stands out as recruiters, we are amazing at collaborating with the stakeholders within the organization, internally and externally. We really focus on customer service. Customer service is our thing. We are the first line of defense. We are the first impressions with candidates. We are the ones that broker the deals to bring on a candidate to a future employee. We develop those assets and we give them exceptional customer journeys as we work with that. Now, when we talk about hiring manager and candidate experiences, this is something, again, again, as recruiters, we're really good at, and it transfers into customer service and customer support. And the training that we receive in order for us to stay compliant with all the rules and the regulations and the processes and the workflows within the departments, we have to be really good at that. And that translates over into customer support. So again, your task is to go on LinkedIn and do the searches. And if you do the searches and you type in customer success, you're going to see over 50,000 jobs that are going to be posted on there. If you type in client services, you're going to find 30,000 job openings just under client services. And if you type in account managers, you're going to find over 25,000 job openings related to this, because all of those functions, all of those job areas are things that we really do really well. I mean, think about even the account management aspect of it. We are managing portfolios, we are managing programs, we are doing exceptional things. These skills are absolutely 100% transferable into this customer support, customer success area that we've been in really over the last 5 to 10 years. There has been an increase in this area, and a lot of jobs have been developed because of it. The fourth career change that you should be considering, and it's going to be near and dear to my heart because this was my major, this was my passion actually, one of the reasons why I got into recruiting, is going to be marketing. Marketing, when we think about recruiting, again, we can look at recruiting being sales, but it's also marketing. And because it's marketing, we're really good at this, because as recruiters, the skills that transfer over into the marketing career atmosphere, the environment here is all about branding. We are so good at branding opportunities, branding companies, branding services, products. We are good at positioning opportunities with cold candidates, warm candidates, and hot candidates. We are so focused on our strategy, on where to find and where to target these audiences that we want to go ahead and go after. We're really good at developing campaigns. We constantly have to put campaigns, we have to develop these pipelines in order to develop successful outreach, outbound campaigns from a marketing perspective. And more importantly, when it comes to marketing, we're really good at marketing company culture. We understand the client that we're servicing, the customer that we're working for, the company that we're drinking the Kool-Aid after. So when you look under the marketing umbrella, again, go to LinkedIn, go to Indeed, do your search, go to Google Jobs, type in marketing manager, there's going to be about 11,000 jobs. Marketing communications, there's going to be almost 90,000 jobs under marketing and communications. Under just branding representatives, there's over 50,000 jobs that are even correlated to that. So again, we're talking about well over 100,000 jobs that are available just within the marketing area. Now, there's going to be some overlap in some of these other career opportunities that are laid out when it comes to marketing, but still, as a comparison to recruiting that only has 5,000 job openings and you have an opportunity for 100,000 jobs to compete with, it gives you more options and more opportunities to consider. Okay, so here we are at the fifth career change that you should be considering, the fifth role that as a recruiter, if you're really serious and you're really thinking about making that transition, this is going to be kind of a miscellaneous sort of category that I wanted to identify, because I think it's important and it's going to stay within the talent acquisition industry. And so a lot of times as recruiters, we get pigeonholed, or we get kind of put us into a corner where all we do is just recruiting. Maybe you become a manager or director or something like that. But there's still some opportunities here, because within talent acquisition, there's an operation standpoint. And more importantly, there is a surge in technology, especially with AI on the forefront. The AI skills that are now being developed as recruiters is going to be important. And even the products and the tools and the resources that are becoming available. These these companies are developing this technology, they need a talent acquisition mindset. They need a recruiter that understands this practice. So when we look at operations from a TA standpoint, we think about employee relations, we think about tools and resources. We're really good at gathering requirements, and we're more important than that is we are subject matter experts in our recruiting space. All of these skills are transferable into a talent acquisition area, whether it's operations or technology. So I want to break this down and give you a couple examples here. If you look at human resources, now human resources for the most part are considered our partners, colleagues. Sometimes, there are superiors, and we sometimes have a love-hate relationship with HR. But if you go in and you do some searches, there's over 50,000 jobs that are relating human resources. And as recruiters, that would be a natural pivot and transition for you to make if you're not having success landing that next gig that you're looking for. If you go into product managers, there's over 10,000 jobs that are available in product manager positions. And if you go again under this customer success platform where you talk whether they're pre-sales leads or they're customer service type of technical support positions, you're talking about 40, 50,000 jobs that are available out there in that area. So meaning there are companies, there are ATS companies, CRM companies, chat technology companies that are hiring people to help sell and promote their products and their tools, but they also need somebody that understands the recruiting mindset. And this is an opportunity that you as a recruiter have an ability to provide your expertise. And again, when you compare this to the recruiting roles that are out there, you're talking about a measly 5,000 jobs that are available for us that we're basically fighting over. The math doesn't make sense. So this is another option that you should be considering if you're thinking about making that transition. So there you have it, the 5 different job roles that you should consider if you're thinking about making a career change and leaving talent acquisition, the industry altogether. Now, I understand one important thing here, that if you're a recruiter that is in between jobs and it's been quite some time, you are competing against a situation in which you're likely going to be outnumbered, meaning there's the supply and the demand balance is out of whack, and it's been like that for nearly 2 years. In my last episode, I laid out specific sort of scenarios here that most recruiters are going through. Recruiters are either hanging on tight and they're going to wait it out and see what happens, or they're going to go ahead and jump ship and start making that pivot, start making that transition. The job market opportunities that are going to be out there, especially with artificial intelligence, are going to help fuel more opportunities for recruiters. So there are going to be some opportunities, and only time's going to tell over the next 6 months to a year what kind of impact that is. I want to encourage you to test it out, to go ahead and apply to 2 to 4 to 5 different types of job roles that are different, that are outside. Maybe it's a sales one, maybe it's a social media, one of the marketing ones, customer success type of role, but go ahead and try that out. Now, compensations are going to be a big factor for a lot of recruiters, but if you're a junior to mid to maybe a senior, maybe anywhere from 1 to 10 years of experience, and you're making under $100,000 per year, the impact for you to make a pivot and a transition into another career role is not going to be that significant. You should be able to make up the difference or have a less of a setback when it comes to that financial numbers. But if you are a recruiter that's a senior or a seasoned or a lead role type of recruiter, that's a director or a manager or something like that, and you're making over 100K, 150K, 200K, obviously it's going to be much more difficult for you to leave the talent acquisition industry and pivot and transition. But if you have 6 months, a year, 18 months to wait that thing out and to see if you can go ahead and close the gap as far as the compensation offset that you'll make, it might be worth the risk. Only time will tell what will happen. I hope this episode was informative. I hope that there's some big takeaways that you can take from here. But more importantly, I want to leave you with some actionable steps, something to consider and think about. When the Titanic hit that iceberg, it started sinking. At one point, you had to decide, are you going to jump ship or are you going to stay on? And I have to admit that talent acquisition, the industry and the state of our industry right now, we have hit an iceberg and the industry is sinking right now. How soon will it be before we can recover? Please like, subscribe, comment, share. It helps the podcast grow. And remember, until next time, it's all about the mindset.